Gertie and Alan generously agreed to give their story about their experiences around here and their life around here. I thank you for coming out. This is a joint program with the Sumas Library as well as the Senior Center. So, again, thank you for coming out and doing this for us. Basically, I'd like you to start sharing your stories. And anyone in the crowd, if you have any questions, speak out and ask questions and join in the conversation. It's very informal.
Okay, well, the place where Alan was born is on the Jones Road, east of Sumas, and Corny and Eileen Brugdenhill own the place now, and it's right next to their big dairy farm. And Alan says that he lived there for about, a year and a half, till he was about 1.5 years old. And then they moved over onto the Nims and Rock Road. And years ago, that was called the Saar Road. But then they used rock from a quarry at the end of the Rock Road at the hill to put on that road, so then that way it got the name of Rock Road. And then as years went on, well, Carla and I don't remember what her husband's name was, Gruen, John Gruen, okay, thank you. They turned that house into an adult care home. And Alan had commented that, oh God, I'm going to have to be careful. I started my life there, and Gertie might put me there to end my life. Well, he breathed a sigh of relief when they closed.
They don't get very far in life when they do that to you.
He says they don't get very far in life when they do that to you. But there's, I have a map. There's a map in that big album that I got, and Alan's great-granddad and a lot of the family came out and they bought property, and in fact the Saar property where Mike Horrett lives, that was Saar property. Alan's relatives, they dug Saar Creek where it is at now.
Well, along with other farmers.
Yeah, along with other farmers, because at the bottom of the hill, and then it followed on. And
the creek used to come down. They come down just on the opposite side of the road from where Mike Hort lives, and they crossed the road there, and it followed the bottom of the hill out through the old slough. Anybody who lives around here, I'm sure, remembers that old slough. And so after they done that, they run that creek clear over into Canada and dumped the water over in Sumas Lake. You know, they had that big lake right over here. And then that slough had a lot of water in it, and it had little ponds off to the side, and then the whole valley out there become mosquito infested. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, it was quite a while. I don't remember what year all that took place, but I got a picture of that. Lloyd Dickerboon's mother was coming to Sumas to get groceries in a horse and buggy, and she stopped there where that creek was across the road, and her horse was standing in the creek drinking water. And it's in that. Did you bring that album down?
Yeah, it's right over there on that.
Okay. Well, there's some interesting things there. I don't know much about it. Yeah, that's way before my time. John Saar, that was my granddad's brother. He owned a place where Mike Horry is. And he was tied up with gargets in their gold mine up there. And that gold mine done nothing but lose money. All they did was dig a hole. They never found, well, you could probably put all the gold they found in your hand for years they dug that. But there was another gold mine close by, and they figured they'd hit the tail into that, and it never worked. So he borrowed money at the bank, mortgaged his farm, and down the road a ways, then he sold half of his place to Bill Bishop. That's right there at the corner of the Bishop Road, and it goes around. He kept, and then they went on running the mine and up there working at it, and then he sold the other half to Steiner. That was Albert Steiner's dad. And then Mike got it from Steiner's. So that took care of that 160 acres. Then my granddad had a 160 acre homestead down here. The Jacobsons lived there, and there's 2 houses on the place. And he sold 60 acres of this side, where the creek runs through there. That was in the 60s he sold. That was between the Miller place and he kept 100. Then he sold that 100 because he didn't like milking cows. He went up to Alaska and he bought some land, and then he rented some, they call it crown land up there.
Alaska?
No, not Alaska. Alberta, I was wrong there. And they was in around Sheerness and Hannah in that area. And he went flat broke up there, so that wasn't a good move. No, I don't know, there's and then that other place, you know where Earl Snyder used to live? Right there by the creek, that old house. Well, my grandmother was standing out in the front yard holding the horse there. That was way back when, I don't know, way back when, when they were still using horses all the time. And there was a relative had that, but I can't remember the hookup on that. It's, I don't know.
When did they come back?
Huh?
Tell them about when they came back from
Oh, I told you, like my granddad when it broke up. Up there in Alberta. And him and my grandmother, they kind of split company. So he went off to Portland, and my dad and one of my uncles stayed there with Grandma, and they let the place go. They lost it. And there was an empty hotel there, and she started running that hotel. And she didn't like that job. It was all right. They made a living, but that's about all. Anyway, they hooked up, they got 2 covered wagons and horses. And they had a couple of horses tied on the back of one of them. And one of them, well, I guess both of them were saddle horses. And one of them saddle horses was used in the rodeo down here in Sumas. And his name was, what's the guy's name? Somebody, Hutchinson was riding him, and Moonshine was the name of the horse. And there was a lady in here from the library. Was it this one?
Yes.
And she says, "Oh, why would they name a horse Moonshine?" Well, maybe he acted like a drunk. I don't know. I don't have a clue, but anyway, when they was coming down, they didn't have no money much. They come through Sweetgrass, Montana. And they got a job where they were building road with them horses for some contractor, pulling scrapers. So they worked there till the weather got bad, Then they had money enough to put their belongings on a train and ship it all out here. And that's when the Halley got back here from Alberta on that thing. I don't know, I can't think of anything to say.
Well, there's the Wagners that are sitting back there. They live on some of the property that did belong to the Saars years ago. So.
Well, there's quite a bit of property out here at the time.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of property, and
all of them left.
He says all of them is left, but me, I'm still here. And I think all of you will remember, Kay Bishop. Okay, Ellen called her Cousin Kay because her mother-in-law, Harold's mother, and Alan's dad were brother and sister. And Alan's great-granddad's second wife was the first doctor in Whatcom County. First medical doctor in Whatcom County.
That's supposed to be recorded in the library.
Yes, it's recorded in the library. And it's also in a book called Saddlebags to Scanners. She came out here mainly to be a missionary doctor to the Nooksack Indians. But she tended a lot of other people too. And she came out here in 1878. So.
They lived where?
Oh, over there someplace. But they built a drugstore for her. And it was down here where the hospital was, where the Christian school is. Then they built a hospital too. I don't remember just when that was built.
Deborah probably knows. No?
Well, they built a little hospital, not like the school was there. Yeah, the hospital did eventually get there, but I think that was Sarvis's hospital. No, that was Nugent's hospital, and Sarvis's was over here. On where the double road is, right, or next block over, I think, or something like that. And there was two small hospitals here. Well, I don't know, why don't you show them the picture of the Rock Road out here. My grandmother and granddad had their picture taken. You got the picture there?
That big picture in that big frame.
That's Rock Road they're standing
This
by.
is Frederick Peter Saar and Emma Frances Brown. They're standing here next to a big tree. And it's on their wedding day, August 11th of 1891. The picture was taken by the Rock Road, Sumas. Now then. There you go, Oscar. There's the Rock Road. And this is a logging road. Now, Alan's granddad and grandmother, they're not standing, real tight side by side. And they do not cover the width of that tree.
Pass the thing around there or something.
Here.
That's the picture she's talking about.
Yeah. Yes.
Pass it on so the rest of them can see it.
You go on back.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Saar, were your parents relatives to the Buells?
But it be, but
Um,
Buells, Harry Buell?
Yeah, I knew Harry Buell. No, I wasn't.
were they relatives?
Harry Buell had a grandson that was my uncle. My dad's sister was married to one of Harry Buell's.
Kids.
No, Harry Buell never married. So, but his. Oh man, I gotta get back at a year or two.
A year or two.
Bob and Mabel Nims. Now, Bob Nims is married to a Buell girl, Harry's sister. And Russell Bean, their name was Bean, and Russell Bean, the son of Harry Buell's sister, married my aunt, my dad's sister.
Well, who lived east of Fred Mims?
That was my grandmother and step-granddad, Everett
Wilson, his grandmother and step-granddad.
But that also was the Buell place. There was a little grave up there up on the bank from the slough, and there was twin babies buried in there that one of the kids had a little square fence around it, and something happened to it. The fence is gone. I was out there. When the hell was we out there? A couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Oh yeah, a month ago or so.
Sometime, yeah. The fence is gone and has been, so I guess the graves are still down there. But there's no markers there. Yeah.
Well, Mrs. Saar,
They
where
was,
did your parents buy that property from? When you was little, you don't know.
No, it wasn't my parents. I was born and raised over in Deming by the Mount Bedford Highway. So
Oh, I thought you said in Jones Road.
that was
I was born on Jones Road.
he
You
was
were in Jones Road.
Yeah.
An Edict property?
Whose?
Edicts?
I don't know. It was, I think Charlie Enix owned the land. But after we moved off, there's another family moved on. The Matters moved on to it. And they was there for quite a while. And then when they left, somebody else moved on. I don't know the history of it from there. The Matters lived on it for a long time. And that used to be a bootlegging spot. Washington was dry for a while, you know, and that place is right on the border and had a pretty good sized barn and bale hay, and they could, you know, stack it up and make a little room in there, and you know how it goes. They hauled these booze in there, and they got it in a car, and then they went to Seattle with it. And there was an alley you drove into, and you just pulled in there and unloaded this stuff into a basement. You never seen nobody, and there was money up there. You just grabbed the money and went again. And I've heard these stories. That was before my time, where I was awful little, and so. But the guy that was doing that got caught, and they took the car away. And so anyway, and then of course he got arrested. And then all of a sudden a big bunch of money showed up. Nobody, just money. And the lawyer got the money and come out and seen him and told him what they had to do, and it was all taken care of, just like that. So that's how it worked then. I don't know. Well, there ain't much to talk about, I don't think.
Where did you guys meet?
Her and I?
Yeah.
Well, we met in 1956. We were brother-in-law and sister-in-law. Because my first husband, his first wife, were brother and sister. And then I worked for him. I still do. And I wrapped meat for Harold and Kay Bishop when they had the meat shop in Sumas. And then I also had worked at Kale's Cannery in Everson. You don't even know if there was a cannery there now. And then I worked at B&B Tavern as well. And then I would wrap meat for him after he had gotten a meat shop going when he was still working for Great Western Lumber. And he mainly built the meat shop so that he could, cut and wrap his own beef and maybe some for some relatives or something. And then some of the guys, oh, I got an animal that I want you to take care of. So then on weekends, he would call me and ask me, what are you doing tomorrow? And I said, well, I'm working. Why? And he says, well, I need a meat wrapper. Well, then I says, now just wait a minute here. So I had to think of somebody who I could trade a shift with because I was bonded to take care of the pull tabs and punch boards. So then lots of times I would call Juanita Bishop. And I'd say, hey, you work my day shift, I'll work your night shift, because she jumped at the chance. So I wrapped meat for him until 5 o'clock and go home and get cleaned up and be down at the tavern at 6 and work until 2 a.m. So, but my parents came out from Iowa, and I was born and raised Deming by the Mount Baker Highway, and my brother Hank, he lives in the place now, and I was born at home because my dad said to my mom, according to what she said, my mother had all of us kids at home, you can too. All right, the doctor made him help. That cured him of that. Mom said she never, ever heard of anybody gagging so much in her life. And no way. So then, all right, then there was a baby that was born between Hank and I, and he just lived for just a few hours. But otherwise, then it was Hank, and then my brother Pete, and then a sister Jane, and a sister Ruth. But no, I was the only one born at home. So, and like I say, Hank has the place now. And then it was 2000, wasn't it, Hank, that you and Laurel had donated the property south of the truck road next to the river, because the river was just taking so much of the property. Donated to Washington Land Trust, and then between them and the county, they had to make an eagle watching park. So it's a day-use park to watch eagles, and there is a lot of eagles there. And then we have our family reunion there once a year at the end of July. So then, after I graduated from Baker, and then I moved out, to Sumas. So I didn't get too far away from home. So.
All right. He thought of something else.
Well, not much. I know where my ancestors come from. They were Germans over in Germany, and right in southern Germany. And I heard a story, I don't know how true, that they'd taken that land away from France, and after World War II, France got it back. So I don't know, maybe they come from France now, I don't know. But it was Germany when I came. And they got on an old sailboat, and that boat, well, they went up to Amsterdam. That's where they got on the boat. And they didn't come in through Ellis Island. That boat come clear into the Gulf of Mexico and up the Mississippi River a little ways, and they got off in there. And
They were on that boat for 63 days.
I can't think of the name of the town. Do you remember the name of the town where they landed?
It's the southernmost point of Iowa, and I think it was like Keokuk or something like that.
Okay.
Anyway, there's a bunch of Saars down there yet, but I don't know them. Quite a bunch of them. But there was 3 brothers come up here. They come out with Ezra Meeker when he used to bring these wagon trains out. And so there was 3 brothers come out with him on one of them trains, and they worked for him. They brought some cattle with the, and that was their job, to herd the cattle along. And down here in Kent is where that brother of my great-granddad settled. And he, because that's where Ezra Meeker was from at that time. And he settled there, and he got a sawmill going, a little mill, and some of the family worked in it. Anyway, my great-grandmother died there in childbirth. And she's buried there, and there's a Saar cemetery down there at Kent. And as you drive by the town of Kent, there's a little off-ramp right there on the
167.
on the side, and she's buried in there. And that's
Should be in there.
they don't use that cemetery anymore. Then finally he came up, they kept that mill going, and I can't remember the one of the brothers settled over by the Columbia River in eastern Washington, and I don't know the story of his life or anything, but after he grew up, he went to school and college and became a dentist. And he was a dentist in Yakima. And I was in talking to my lawyer one day, and the receptionist said, "Hello, Al," or Mr. Saar or something. So then there's a woman come over and sat alongside of me and said, "Is your name Saar?" And I said, "Yeah." She started asking me questions, and she says, "Well, my maiden name was Saar." So we got to talking, and that dentist over there was her dad. And she was going to college there. So they're scattered all over the country. You know. There's another bunch of them that there's some in from that other family. I don't know too much about them, but what I did hear, I was one lunch hour at the mill. We was having our lunch, and there was a paper laying in there that the union had sent out that they talking about a little mill down in Oregon that was on strike. And it was a mill that, I don't know what kind of a mill, what all they did, but they made a lot of small things, small pieces. And so one time Gertie and I was coming up to Oregon, so we stopped in there. What was the name of that town?
Roseburg.
Roseburg. We stopped in there and got a room for the night and looked in the phone book, and yeah, there was a couple of Saars there. So we called them, and they were both women, and their husbands had died. And they were, I don't know what their maiden name was, but she said they had a Saar that, a sister, it'd be a sister-in-law to her, one of the kids out of the family, the sister to their husbands. So, and she gave us a phone number for her, and she was down in Northern California someplace. So we called her and said hello, and asked her name. She told us, and we told her who we was, we talked a little bit, and she said, I said I just called to see. I thought, the possibility we could be relatives. And she says, well, what kind of work do you do? Well, at that time I was a sawyer down here at Great Western Lumber. And I said, well, I work in a lumber mill. And she said, well, I don't think we're relatives because our family was engineers and we worked on the Panama Canal. So that kind of put me in my place, And then he goes on, and over in Port Angeles, there's the other brother. He settled. I don't know where he settled, but some of his offspring are over here in Port Angeles. And Greg, my son, he had a store in Port Angeles, so he still got the building. And he knew them. They started coming into the store, so. So anyway, I never got to the Panama Canal, so.
But you never told him that we got doctors and attorneys in our family.
Oh, we stay away from them. Yeah, we got doctors and attorneys.
His oldest great-granddaughter is after she graduated from.
After Emily, Ellen's oldest great-granddaughter, I call her my great-granddaughter too. And when she graduated from Oak Harbor High School, she graduated. Her class was 416. She graduated number 9. And she is going to Gonzaga. She's going to be an attorney in politics.
She's going to set things straight.
Yeah, she says, I'm going to try to set things straight. Good luck. And now her brother, he is in his first year at Gonzaga, and he is going to be an attorney as well, but he says, no, I'm not going to do that politics stuff. He's going to go some other route on attorney. And then their dad is an attorney. So, and he went to Gonzaga. So, anyway, that's all right. More power to him.
There's nothing wrong with the SARS.
Pardon?
I said, there's nothing wrong with the SARS.
No. So, but yeah, I've got an album over there that there's lots and lots and lots of info and about the Saar Cemetery, and there's pictures of that of the rodeo, the roundup or whatever, moonshine but yeah, so there's, I don't know, over 300 pages that I know of that's there, and I don't even think that we've gotten it all.
When they dropped the horses up for the rodeo, did they participate in the organization of the rodeo in any other way?
I don't know how they got him in there. That was before my time.
He said that was before his time. He doesn't know.
I seen a lot of them old rodeos there. I seen several of them. I seen one time there's a darn clown. He had a bream of bull, and he had a strap around it, and up on the middle of his back he had a kind of a swivel hook, and he had a 2-wheel cart, and then he had a pipe that went up over and down around hooked in that thing in that bull's back. Then he'd get the cart with his little rag and scare the bull and get him to, that lousy bull would chase him, and then of course the cart would just swing off to and they went around there for about 5 minutes, and that lousy bull got that thing up against the grandstand, that car, and that little pipe just doubled up, and that clown went up over that fence. That was the best part of the whole rodeo. Yeah.
What year did the SARS end up
at Sumas?
Well, it's quite a while ago.
Well, it was before. Let's see. Your great grandmother, that was your step great grandmother, that was the doctor. She came out here in 1878, I believe it was, and I believe that your great granddad was here before then, wasn't he?
Yeah. They met off somewhere else. No, they met here. 'Cause she was.
Yes, she came from back east.
Well, she was in Eastern Washington. She went back east to school, and doctors then had to go to school for 2 years, and and then she come back here, and when she crossed the Nooksack River down here at Everson, it was raining and muddy and terrible, and
There was no bridge.
no bridge, and the raft, and the cable to get across on, and anyway, there's a book, Saddlebags to Scanners. She went out on calls all over, nobody. Well, they used to have you call you to go to the doctor, So she was making her rounds, and that's one time she didn't make her. She died, but she had her little hospital, I guess, down here. I never seen it. That was before my time. But, yeah, it said in that book when she come here.
That book, Saddlebags to Scanners, is the first 100 years of medical history in the state of Washington. And she is listed in there several places. And it says when she came out here, but I'm sure she came out like in 1878. I think that's what it says.
You should have a record of that in there.
Deborah is shaking her head, yes, yes. So, but, yeah, and...
Now, you said that her bag is at the museum in Linden?
Her diary and her medical bag is in the Linden Museum.
So,
And I know that I read one little piece of her diary, and that was after she had gotten to Whatcom County, and it was, she stated something that it was raining, and it was mud, mud, mud. So, yeah. And then it also says in there what she had to pay for her bus trip out and things like that. But back then, it would have been a lot of money. But we think it's just pocket change now, hardly. But still, they had a rough time. So.
now you said you worked at B&B Tavern, right?
Yes, I did, for Bill and Betty Donahue.
Yes. How long was B&B in operation?
Oh, they were in operation for quite, I don't know how many years.
The name had been changed on it, but it was the same place.
Yeah, you see, I don't remember.
It used to be Nap and Naps, and who was it before that?
Oh, I don't remember.
That's what it was when I was a kid, Nap and Naps. And then kids could go in there then, and you could get a milkshake or ice cream too, and then you could watch the folks drink beer. But
But when they got the name of B&B Tavern from Bill and Betty Donahue. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Is there anything else?
Yes.
Was that the same Nap and Nap that had the funeral home in Linden?
what's that?
Was that the same Nap and Nap that had the funeral home in Linden? Do you know?
Not to my knowledge, I don't know.
Not to his knowledge.
Knapp and Knapp had a tavern in Bellingham too, there on Railroad Avenue.
Yeah.
There was a furniture store in Linden too with Nap and Nap.
You're right, yes. Yes.
Well, I couldn't tell you, I don't know.
How long has that hotel over there been there?
The hotel?
Yeah, it's right by where the other place that you worked with.
Oh yeah, there was a hotel closer to where the border crossing is now, and oh gollies, I don't know how long that was there.
There's a Swale Hotel.
Swale Hotel.
And the Grand Hotel was right down here.
And the Grand Hotel was more downtown.
So they had a lot of population at one time. Support 3 hotels.
Oh yeah.
Well, this was kind of the starting place for the gold mines up in the National Forest. They had quite a thing going up there,
So what was the largest population that you can remember that Sumas was?
Do you know what the largest population was?
No, I think there's more people here now than there ever was. Yeah.
Like 100,000 people or something?
Oh, no.
Well, I doubt that.
Said in that Watcom history book that the library has was 6,000 at one time.
Oh, and that book that the library has of Watcom history, 6,000 at one time.
Yeah.
Good possibility because there was quite a bit that was across the railroad tracks.
There's
So-
a red light district along this side.
A red light district, yeah.
That's what it says in the book.
Yeah.
They had a big hotel on the other side of the track too.
Yeah.
I know, I read the book, and they didn't only have people, they had a lot of bed bugs in there.
Yeah.
A lot of bed bugs in there
They had a
too.
place to sleep.
Yeah.
Most of the old hotels did.
Rod, now your dad was principal, school teacher at the grade school, at the old grade school.
Who was?
Rod's dad, Mr. Perry. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 1947 on.
1947 on and
About 74 or 3.
about 74, 75, something like that. Yes.
Yeah, he was still principal when we moved here in '68.
What's the name
Yeah.
of that
That
old
little
hotel that
Clearbrook
was
grade
across
school
the
was
track?
principal, because he was my principal.
There's a picture of it in the hallway over there.
Yeah, there is.
But there also was a jail up there on the side of the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's where that was kind of tangled in with the customs, wasn't it? I think it's,
They didn't have no customs in that.
well, sort of.
Yeah.
I know we as kids, we used to fish over in Canada a lot. Nobody ever cared.
My uncle had a farm. One of my mom's brothers, where the turf place is now, next to the creek. And sometimes his animals would get through the fence, and he'd have to go into Canada to get them. And he'd just call them at the border and say, "Well, I have to go get my steer, or I have to go get this animal, or whatever." And he'd just walk over there, or if he needed some tools, and he'd walk over there and borrow it from the neighbors over there. Heck, they didn't care. Now you try that. Oh boy. But I remember Rod's dad, when my kids were in first grade, they said, "Mr. Perry came to the room and he introduced his buddy, Old Joe. And it was a paddle that had big holes in it. And if we didn't mind, and if we had to go to the office, we got to meet Old Joe. And if that took place, well, Mr. Perry would go up and down the hallway and open up all the classroom doors so the kids could hear that somebody was meeting Old Joe." Yeah. So,
Try that today.
oh, try that today. Yeah, right. That's for sure.
Darrell Eller's met him a lot.
Who did? Darryl Ellers?
Darryl Ellers. He was on first name basis.
On first name basis. Yeah. Yeah, there was probably several kids that were. But, yeah, those were the days. So, yeah, he was a pretty good guy. So, well.
Do you remember going to the theater up at town here?
Sure.
Going to the theater in town? Oh, yeah, I've been to the theater in town.
What was the first movie you remember going to?
Oh, goodness. What movie did I see? I don't really remember, but I remember getting in there.
Oh, they used to have a lot of Gene Autry and Roy Rogers. Them guys were going at that time.
A lot of Gene Autry and Roy Rogers, he says.
Love story shows, too.
It's called the Rose Theater.
Yes, the Rose Theater, you're right. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure you went to it.
That was my first date with Dawn.
Is that
To a
right?
movie.
Your first date with Dawn was at the movie.
All you did was watch a movie,
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yes, I remember the first time that I went to that theater, they did not charge me as an adult. So, just paid the...
Well, you didn't look like you'd grown up.
I guess not. So, I paid what they wanted and I went in. And so, but...
Yeah, I have a question.
And what's that?
On Reese Hill Road, there's a big rock.
Yes.
The Saar Rock. Do you know anything about that?
That big rock on Reese Hill.
Reese Hill Road.
Yeah, a great big rock.
Well, that's Saar Canyon there. That's as you're going up the hill that you're talking about.
Yes, there's a big rock, and apparently they
call
had
they call that whole canyon Saar Canyon, and that rock's part of the canyon. You can see it from the road, can't you?
That's what they say.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. But apparently they had to change the Reese Hill Road because they didn't want to go through that rock. It's so big.
Yeah.
No, it's a pretty good size. It's growing lots of moss and ferns and stuff like that. It's been there a long time.
Years ago, the Canadians used to haul sawdust down over the hill and into Canada for sawdust stoves. And they went down into that canyon, clear down there with a truck one time. And it didn't wreck the truck too bad. It sure surprised me. They had to get a bulldozer up there to pull the thing back out with. But
Wow.
I drove truck a lot of years, but I never had that experience.
You did not have that experience, no.
wouldn't want it either.
I don't think you'd want to either.
That's quite a ride going down there. Have you looked at that hill?
That's steep, sucker.
Yeah.
Just after they come around the corner, that thing went down. I couldn't believe it.
Straight down almost.
Yeah.
They had a cat up there at the road, and they had a drum line and then another long line hooked on the end of it. It was way down there.
Yeah.
And that guy rode that thing clear down.
Oh. Yeah.
You mentioned that they changed the Saar Road to Rock Road because they got the rock from the quarry.
Right.
Well, it's a rock slide it goes out past the end of the rock road. The old road, when they had Sumas Lake over here, they didn't go to Chilliwack in that area up through here. They went around that road out there and followed the hill all the way around. And if you get in, past the end of the last house, it's just maybe a quarter of a mile further, there's a big rock slide out there. It's still there. And they hauled rock out of it, a few years back. And that's what they rocked the road with. And they used horses and wagons. And of course, they had to shovel all the rock on. But they took these wagons and they had 2x6s in them. And I seen one build up. In fact, my step-granddad built one up and used it there. But they got 2x6s about this wide in the bottom, not nailed down or nothing, and little sides on it. And then out on the ends of them, they had handles whittled in them, chopped in them. So the guy get on each end and twist them, and then the gravel would fall through. So they didn't have to shovel it off. And that's how they rocked it. And when they got all through with that rock, then they called it Rock Road.
They also changed the name of, there was an Anderson Road out there, and they changed the name to what, Hillview Road?
Well, it's Hillview Road, yeah.
Yeah.
Today. How did it get Anderson? Obviously, there must have
Because
been...
Anderson's lived
Andersons lived there.
Well, just like Anderson Lake.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's the
okay.
same Andersons that had the farm down below. And what's these fellows' names got it now?
Brookton Hill.
Yeah, Brooklyn Hill.
Ferguson's got it now.
Yeah.
And they've got,
And the Andersons are related to Allen.
So,
Down the line, but
so is the Anderson family that had the Hillview Dairy?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's two Anderson families here. There's Floyd Anderson, and then I'm sure everybody here knows Roger Anderson. And he had a farm right next. And then Hillview Dairy was the other family, and they had a lot bigger farm. And at one time up in Anderson Lake, in the summertime, they'd run heifers up there. But that got sold quite some time ago, a long time before the bottom did.
On Saturday, we got a phone call from Roger Anderson. And he's lounging around in Arizona.
Arizona, he goes south every winter.
And he said, well, he was lounging around, and he all of a sudden remembered that, oh, I got to call Alan and Gertie and wish them a happy anniversary. And he wanted to know what the old fart was doing. Meaning Alan.
Sounds like Roger.
Yeah. So, and then I'll hear from him on my birthday too, and he tries to sing. He's a character.
Now, do you have any memories of the 1969 blizzard?
1969 blizzard?
The big
Yeah.
blizzard that shocked you?
Yeah, he said he's got some memories.
I lived here then, so if there was one here, I remember it. But I don't remember whether it was a bad one or not. I remember out there on the Bill Bishop place, the people that had it right after Bishop's moved off. What was their name?
Sander.
Yeah, I think so.
The Sanders, I think.
They had a snowdrift out there. It went clear up to the bedroom windows upstairs.
That was the storm of 1950.
Is that right? You remember that? Okay. Well,
69 was pretty bad.
Yeah, well, 69 was pretty bad too, and I think
big snowdrift went down.
Don was
right
bus
out the
driver.
road, and
No,
they
drove for Dairy Gold.
them kids would get up there in their bedroom window and open it with their sled, and they'd ride that lousy thing down and catch the school bus after they got the road cleared out, of course.
Yeah, they'd watch and they could see the school bus going down Reese Hill.
Hang on to this and I'll help her find it.
I thought that was pretty good that old lady coming to Sumas to get groceries with a horse and buggy, and then the horse had to stop in the creek and drink water. And that, I don't know what year it was, but it was so far back that the water just run across the road. There's no bridge there.
January 24th, 1919.
Alan, do you still have your MGX business?
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm kind of retired. I'm going to start getting rid of that stuff.
Yes, meat, gravel, and excavating.
Right.
Yeah. I worked in the meat shop today.
Okay, this is a picture that Alan was talking about. It's Ida Potter great-grandmother to Dick Dickboom, watering horse in Saar Creek. And this was taken January 25th of 1918, and out of a newspaper, Everett Herald. And so that is her there.
Let me see it. This isn't it.
Yes, and that's what Arlene gave me.
She didn't give you the one they showed me.
Yeah, that's it.
This is it. All right, but the horse isn't drinking. Got her front feet in the water.
Yeah.
But she was drinking on the one I seen.
Well, she had to pose for the photographer.
That's all right.
Have you ever seen Saar Creek dry up in the summertime? Apparently this summer it dried up as it went out. It was completely dry.
I don't remember it.
Not completely
It
dry.
goes way down, but I
Yeah.
never have seen it completely dry.
Anyone else have any more questions? It's almost 8 o'clock.
Any other questions?
Well, I'm reading your story about Iowa, and they're one of the towns that they're talking about under Jesse Elstar, MD, is close to my hometown of Keosauqua.
Oh, yeah, you're from Iowa, aren't you?
Yeah, that's
yes.
It's called Cantrell. Is where she was.
Yeah, see, we've got.
That's 14 miles from where I grew up.
Mm-hmm. See, my parents came from the northwest corner of Iowa.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Gertie, my aunt was Gertie's great-grandmother.
Yeah. Okay.
And we came from northwest Iowa, too.
Well, thank you for sharing your family stories and your local history. It's very exciting. I really appreciate you coming out, and I'm sure we all do.
Okay, well, thank you.